Hi guys, it's Debbie with Debbie J's Crafting Corner, and today I'm going to do a little bit of an unboxing and let's just see a little bit of what's coming from Simon Hurley. I just got this in, and to be honest, I had forgotten. It's kind of where I've had so much stuff that I need to work on, and the whole thing with my arm, if you were in one of my live streams recently, you already know I've got like a pinched nerve or something in my shoulder that's putting pain down the back of my arm. Anyway, we are going to take a look at this. So this guy, okay, so I'm starting off, this one is called the Winter Scene Maker. I have not looked at what's in the package yet, by the way. This is the Layering Stencil Winter Scene Maker, so it makes that lovely scene. That's going to be kind of cool. And it includes some little masks so that you can mask off and color it, all that kind of thing. So you'll be able to actually mask off those little house shapes, so that's cool. Next we've got... this is some new Lunar paste that I do not have. This one is called Grr. I think these are already out there, I'm pretty sure, but these are ones I don't have yet. And we have Shady. And we have Weeping Willow. And then we have cookie dough. That is super cool. So yeah, I've got these fun things to play with. So let's go ahead and make a card. So I am going to make a third attempt. Yes, I've already tried this a couple of times. Didn't really like how it turned out. I have not used... I really haven't done a lot of scene design through stencils, and this is going to be an experiment, and as all crafting should be. I started off using some white cardstock, and then I didn't really like how it was turning out. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to use some black, because we want the silhouettes of the houses to be nice and dark. I've also masked up all the places that I don't think I want to have anything showing through at this point in time. And I am also making sure that I put all of the tape and everything on the shiny side. Now, I have tried putting it over the top, which means I've already pulled up some of this lovely matte side and don't want it to do like that for the rest of it. So I'm just going to go ahead and lay this down. I also trying to remember why I taped off the top. I know what it was. My initial thought was I was going to use the silhouette sides down at the bottom and go that way. But instead, that was when I was going to do a different color for the houses. So I don't really need this tape up here, but I can reuse it. This is the Best Ever Craft tape, and it works fabulously. Let me just put some off to the side. And I'm going to go in with some I think I want to just do lunar paste for this guy. So I'm going to start off with the Midnight Snack, which is this nice dark deep blue, and I'm going to put that over all of that, and then that means that in between each step I have to let it dry, which is one reason why I don't do this a lot, but it's going to turn out fabulous and nice and shiny and all the lovely things. A little bit more. And just going to scrape it right on over the top. And making sure to go at a kind of a nice deep angle to try to get all of that, basically everything off of my palette knife here, off of my scraper. And it looks like I didn't quite get enough on there, but we're going to go ahead one more time because I have more, right? Okay. That's probably more scraping, but it is going to give kind of a nice texture for the sky. And now I'm going to set this off to the side to dry. So I can't really leave it alone. I have to play a little bit even while I'm waiting for the other to dry. So I've taken out another piece of cardstock. This time I'm going with some white, and I am just putting in our little silhouettes of our houses. I will go back in, and I'm using a smaller blending brush this time because I want to make sure that I don't get any ink where I don't want it, right? So I've got it masked off at the bottom with some post-it tape. That way it doesn't rip my paper. If I get this wet, it is highly likely that using some purple tape could rip the paper if it's wet. And I did have that happen a little bit ago. So got that. Now we've got our little silhouettes down, which means I can go back over that with some bright color lunar paste for the windows. That'll be cool. I've also got my snowflake area taped off as well, so that I don't accidentally get any dark color where I don't want it for that part. I want my snowflakes to be white, and I am going to have a darker background, but I don't want it on there yet. So let's go ahead and lift that up, and we've got some perfect silhouette, which means you don't have to use this for a Christmas card. You could use it for any time of year because you have your little house scene for that. I am, of course, doing a winter because I really want to use the snowflakes. Okay, so now I'm going to come in and put my silhouette pieces down over the top of my... Yeah, that would go right there. I do need to put a little bit of tape over this one because, again, I don't want to get the windows. And I think I'm actually going to put the tape over on the back. I put it on the front because since it is posted tape, it's not going to cause an issue. But if I want to make sure that I don't move the tape around while I'm ink blending over it, kind of need to have the tape on the back. Okay, and while I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking I probably didn't have to tape those down, but I did it anyway, because since I'm going to be putting lunar paste over the top, it's probably not going to matter as much. Okay, so now I'm going to put in some blue for the sky. Coming in darkest, I think, right around the houses. And again, I'm using a smaller brush so I can be more precise about where I want my ink. I can come in with my bigger brush and do some general ink blending over the top if I want to. I'm going to start off this way and bring in some nice bold color right around our houses. And if I have them lined up right, it should basically make a black outline on our blue, which means I probably could have done this part first and then just did the black over the top. And of course I didn't think about it because I wanted to use my stencil. Okay, and I'm going to come back in with my blue brush and bring out some more of that color going up from the bottom. So it's going to have a softer glow going up. Okay, so let's take a look. That does look pretty cool. I do have a little bit of an offset there. But to be honest, it looks kind of cool. I think I'm gonna, and that actually was because of my post-it tape. Let me grab my scissors and I'm gonna clip that off. It's where a little bit of it was going over the edge of where my mask was, or where my stencil was. So that's the part that didn't show as much. Or that one is the one that didn't get enough color. Ah! Yeah, words. And I'm going to bring it down just a little bit, put it back over the top, and kind of mute those bits there a little bit. Make them a little bit darker where I missed the color. And I'm making it a deeper, darker blue all the way across. I'm kind of liking it. Here's the thing. When you're doing something like this, sometimes the idea that you had initially changes and you decide to go with it because you like what it was that you accidentally did. Happy little accidents, right? I do still want the upper part of my sky to be a little lighter than the bottom part, so there we go. I think that looks pretty good. And now our silhouettes look awesome. You guys know how impatient I can get. So I decided to try heating this up, and I discovered something about the lunar paste that is kind of cool. If you heat it and it's not quite dry yet, look what happens. It bubbles up. Now that is a really cool texture, but that's not what I wanted. So I went back and I did another panel, this time using my finger tool, which is better to do when you want a light coating, and then doing a real quick scrape off to make sure that it goes nice and smooth. So that is what's happening there. So I've got a second panel that's almost dry, not quite, but that means that I've got another one to work with. Yeah, I'm leaving in my goofs this time. Usually I just start over and you guys don't ever see it, but this is where I am using this time as a learning, because this is a kind of a project that I haven't done before. I have not done it, especially with the lunar paste, and this is mostly dry except for right around the houses. You can see that that part is still a little wet, so this does still need a little bit of time to dry, but you know what? I still have got plenty to work with. I'm going to go ahead and clean this up, just adding some water to my mat and scrubbing it with a baby wipe. You could use a paper towel, and it comes right off as long as you catch it before it's had time to dry really well. Which, ask me, I already know. I have taken this into the kitchen and given it a good scrubbing after my last little project where I had a little too much, because I just kept going and going and going, and it was so fun. So be sure to check out that recent live stream. So here's my panel again. Here is the previous one I was working on with the inks. So now I think it's time for me to add, let's go ahead and add some of the snowflakes in. So I'm going to take the tape off where I've got it over my snow. And I was thinking about keeping the tape. I think I'm going to try keeping the tape. I might be able to use it again. And this is going to basically go over all of the top up here. Okay. And making sure, again, make sure you put shiny side down, because the grid is so sticky that it could definitely pull up that pretty shine on there. This time I'm going to use some of the new lunar paste that is in cookie dough. After I clean off what's left of the blue on my little palette knife here. And I'm going to try to stay away from the houses. Now, if it gets down in the houses a little bit, it's not that big a deal, because snow would go naturally on top of the house. But I also want the yellow that I'm going to be putting down to be nice and visible when I go forward and do that. So I think that's going to be about enough. I'm going to use my finger just to spread it around. It's kind of like frosting. This is kind of cool. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and scrape off some of the rest of it, and then do a light scraping to get into some of the holes that I missed, but not too heavily. And I do think I added a little bit more than I needed there, but that's okay. And I'm going to just bring it coming down, and I'm going to let it go ahead and kind of organically go down into those holes around the houses, and then go back up so that we've got actual circles. Okay, we're going to see how this one turned out, because if I put down too much, I may wind up with some circles that don't quite look like I want. Oh, look at that starry sky, snowy sky. So now I need to let that dry. So I have masked off the bits in between the houses so that I don't accidentally get any of the yellow lunar paste in those spots. And I'm just dabbing some of this color right into those windows. And this is something you could probably use a small brush or a finger dauber or something with. I just decided to use my finger this time. Yeah, I'm getting messy today, and that doesn't happen a lot. At least that doesn't happen intentionally a lot. Okay, so let's see how that is gonna look. Fabulous. So it looks like those houses are all lit up. So that is fabulous. And since I have this out, let's see how this other one is. This feels mostly dry. So I'm going to put this down in place and do the same thing over some of these houses. And it looks like the snow isn't actually right where the windows are. So this should work perfect. And do the same thing, just daubing it on right over those windows. There we go. So those little houses, they've got the snow falling in front of them, but they do have that, that glow out of the windows. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and finish this up so that everything has a chance to dry. Adding in some of those snowflakes coming down from the top, and this time I'm not going to come down as far. I'm going to do it the way that it looks like it was designed on the stencil. So I've already layered basically up my house pieces. I've layered that up so they're lined up, and now I'm just going to come in with the cookie dough, this time not doing nearly as much as I did before, and just using my finger tool. And my husband's sitting over here probably thinking, what the heck is a finger tool and why is she talking about it? Am I right, hon? He just gave me a look. Okay. Anyhow. There we go. And let's lift off the stencil. And it really, really, really wants to stick to that mat. So the mat is nice and sticky. There we go. So now we have our snowflakes. And it looks like I probably got a little more paste on there than I really wanted. But you know what? I think that's still gonna look pretty cool. So I have put my sticky grid back into my Misty, and now I'm going to put a sentiment on the front of each of these cards. And the sentiments I'm using are from Simon's retro holiday stamp set that came out I believe it was just a couple of months ago. And since this is going to be, since I'm going to be using the white, I am going to go ahead and use an embossing buddy. I think this one is actually a Ranger powder bag. Not 100% sure because it's been in my stash for so long, but I'm going to go ahead and use that so I don't get any of the white embossing powder where I don't want it. So we're going to go ahead and just add some embossing ink down. And I think that looks pretty good. I am going to do one more layer just to be on the safe side. And I do need to remember 1, 2, 3, 4. So remember for number 4. So I'll know where to place my other one because I want to do it exactly the same. That looks pretty good. So the coverage looks good. I'll go ahead and heat this one up. Go. And now I'll do the same thing with the other one, but I'm not going to use white powder on this one because we're going to be stamping on white. And I do still have the tape down so I can kind of guesstimate where I want this. Do want it 4 in. Let me make sure that it's about the right height. Yep, that looks pretty good. So we're going to do that. Let's take our little masking paper off. And this time I'm going to use my VersaFine Clair and clear embossing powder. Looks perfect. And let's go ahead and heat that up until it's all nice and shiny. So now I am trimming down my, trimming down my panels to put on a couple of card bases. So for the first one, I decided I'm going to just go straight onto the white. I think that'll look good. Plus with the white sentiment that pops. For this one, I haven't 100% decided. Do I want to go just plain on the white, or do I want to add a little black border to it? I think I do want to go with the black border, so that means I need to trim a little bit more down from this. So since I'm using A2 size card bases, I'm going to be trimming this down to 3 3/4. First, I'm going to just make sure all of my sides are even and where they need to go, and just trim it down a little bit more. So it's going to be 3 3/4 by 5. And then my black mat is going to be 4 by 5 1/4. And as long as my A2 size card base is actually 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, it should fit perfect. That looks fabulous. For this one, I think I'm debating whether or not to put it up on some foam, or just to leave it again as a flat card like I did the first one. I think I want it on some foam, so let's go ahead and do that. Grabbing out my roll of foam tape. And I'm also going to put a little bit of liquid glue on the back of my foam, just in case I need some wiggle room. Now we've got a couple of cool cards using the Winter Scene Maker and some of Simon's new Lunar paste. You guys have a wonderful day, and be sure to check out this playlist to see some other projects where I'm using some Simon Hurley products. You guys have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you soon. Bye, guys.